So if you want to know about money, meaning, and self-mastery, there is only really one person that I can bring to you and give you every single aspect to really dial in where you're at, where you want to be, and that is Bedros Keuilian. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Snej. I think this is round 2.
This is round 2, and this was like, what, a year ago? Just over a year ago, I had the opportunity to sit here, and I think I was a little more nervous because, you know, you're a big shot and I'm not, and I'm okay about that. But I loved that first interview that I did with you because I really got to share a lot more of your story. But yeah, round 2, and I feel like we're just going to be able to talk about so many different things.
Good. Well, let's do whatever we can to add the most value to your audience.
All right. Well, I want to start with like one question, and it's been like kind of like sitting with me. I know you're all about those 3 components, right? Money, meaning, self-mastery. If there was to be a 4th, what would it be?
Freedom.
All right.
Interestingly enough, if you can do those 3 things, have money, develop a sense of meaning or purpose, and master your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, you actually have the 4th, which is sovereignty or freedom.
Right on. All right. So what would freedom mean to you personally?
Well, freedom is to be able to do anything you want with whoever you want for as long as you want without any repercussions in terms of running out of money, running out of time, making the lesser choice, as in I'm not going to fly first class, but I'm going to fly peasant class, or I'm not going to stay at the 5-star resort. I'm going to stay kind of off the strip. Freedom to me is being able to not be dependent on the system, what I call the opposition, big government, to be able to almost live like an outlaw, to have your own moral code and laws to live by versus man's code and laws to live by, which are oftentimes designed to oppress and get control and compliance of humanity.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy though, because I think there is a negative association with money that's out there. And what would be your take on that?
When we don't understand something, we tend to give it a negative light. One of the best ways that I explain this when people ask that question is I talk about racism from, think even when we became more modernized, 1950s, 60s, right? To have something as early as the 1960s, Dr. Martin Luther King literally trying to explain that we should not be judged by our skin color, but the content of our character. Like, that was so groundbreaking then, when it should not have been. Hell, we were already in the process of putting man on the moon. But because people did not understand those that had different skin colors, and we don't take time to understand it, learn about them, the culture, whatever, you begin to fear it. You begin to get threatened by it. Money's the same way. Who's teaching money? Who's teaching money intelligence in school, in universities? They're not. Because if they did, everyone would go out to be an entrepreneur like you, and they wouldn't have the working class. The school system, the university system is designed to keep people dependent, dumb, and broke. And the best way to keep you dependent, dumb, and broke is to not teach you about money. So you can be dependent on an employer. You can be dependent on the system, on the government, on the opposition. And so when we don't understand money, we begin to go, well, it's just for the rich, or we're good people. Why don't we have money? Obviously, only bad people have it because they know something that we don't. They cheat the system. We don't cheat the system. Money is attracted to speed and value. In other words, if you come up with an idea that is going to solve the problem, a problem in the world, the faster you can implement that problem solution, the more money you will make. So money is attracted to speed in terms of you better take action on that idea. Money is attracted to problem solving and problem solvers. Money is attracted to value. And people go, well, what do you mean? I go, well, look at it this way. Why do we pay sports athletes so much more money than a firefighter or police officer? We should be paying a firefighter or police officer more money for the job they do. They risk their lives for us. But humanity gets more value from entertainment, sports entertainment, from TV actors and actresses. And so wherever we put our sense of value on is where we will find money. People don't want to believe that. And so they go, no, that's not true. It sucks that firefighters and police. Well, great. Go vote in a way where your local firefighters and police officers will get paid more than TV celebrities. Stop watching sports TV games, stop wearing their jerseys, stop buying tickets to their events. But you don't, because people want to be entertained. There's more value in entertainment than safety. And until people value safety more than entertainment, cops and firefighters will always get paid less. So that's how money works. And when people understand money as a vehicle to freedom, money solves the problem of not having money, and that's a damn good problem to solve. And money is attracted to value, problem solving, and speed. You begin to figure out how to solve problems and add value to humanity, and then you will attract money. But most people want to go and graduate high school, get a degree, and then go get a job where they're paying off their degree over the next 30 years while making a job that's barely paying them enough to combat inflation, which is where most of society is at right now.
Yeah. And I know that you, at some point, when you were younger, you struggled with having money.
Yeah.
And I want to always bring awareness to that, because you definitely weren't where you are today. Mm-mm. And you come from very humble beginnings. So what value did you add at the start, right? We're going back pretty far, but what value did you add, and how did you even come to that point where you're like, I need to create more value to then create, obviously, the result, which is the money.
Yeah.
What was the value that you added?
So I'll start that story by telling you that even when I was broke, I was observant. I've always been self-aware and observant of my surroundings, of what's happening. And so being a foreigner to this country, coming from the Soviet Union, escaping the Soviet Union when I was 6 years old with my family, with my parents, my older brother and sister, we were broke. We didn't speak English. We didn't understand the culture. We lived in Section 8 housing, which is government-assisted housing. We were as broke as can be. Like, I had a lunch card for school because we couldn't afford lunch money. When I got lice from one of the filthy apartment complexes we lived in, my mom couldn't afford to buy lice treatment, so she had my dad siphon out gasoline from a parked car, and she washed my hair with gasoline to kill the lice. So I've been peasant class. I've been broke. I've been poor. However, as I grew up and got my first job, I realized, all right, we're selling a product here at this job. It was a bagel store, my first job. We're selling a product. We're satisfying people's need for food in exchange for money. Value in exchange for money. Okay, got it. And the better the quality the bagel was, the longer the lines became, and the higher my boss charged, the more he charged for the bagels. I also caught on to that. Like, there's a bagel shop down the street. They're charging less, yet they have no lines, because this guy's bagels are better. He's got a better recipe. And so I realized, all right, value in exchange for money. Then I got a job at Disneyland. Disneyland is all about entertainment. I was a busboy at Carnation Cafe restaurant. Again, Disney was charging way more than Knott's Berry Farm and Magic Mountain and any other amusement park. Why? Because it's Disneyland. They create magic, and people would save up all year and pinch their pennies and eat top ramen to be able to bring their families once a year to Disneyland. Again, entertainment in exchange for money, right? Value in exchange for money. So as I started to see the trend, and then later on I became a personal trainer, and I realized that I had the skills of helping people lose weight, build muscle, eat right, stay motivated and active. And that was value to them, because they didn't have naturally those skills and those traits and those habits, and they were willing to pay me an obscene amount of money for a personal trainer to be able to hold them accountable and give them a training program and put them through the program and, look over their nutrition guidelines, et cetera. And so I was very quickly able to start connecting the dots, like value in exchange for money, value or solve a problem in exchange for money. So I was like, all right, what problem can I solve? And that's where I had a mentor, one of my personal training clients. And this as a personal trainer, typically your clients are well-to-do, especially if you're a one-on-one personal trainer, which is what I was. Yep. Your clients are well-to-do. And so Jim Franco, he was one of my first personal training clients, very successful entrepreneur in his 60s at the time. This was 21 years ago. And Jim Franco had a software company for the automotive industry, providing value in exchange for money. And he said, hey, the personal trainers here suck at this big box gym. You're the only good personal trainer, but you don't know how to sell. And so you're also working at Disneyland as a busboy. And later on, I started working there as a fry cook as well. I got a promotion at Disneyland, snazh. So don't think that I was busing the whole time. I actually became a fry cook. I knew how to flip burgers. But I share that with you because I remember asking Jim Franco, if I'm one of the best personal trainers here, why is it that I can't get enough clients to be able to have a full-time schedule as a personal trainer. Like, why do I have to have a side job as a fry cook? And he told me the harsh truth. You don't know how to sell. He said, you're an order taker. You just take orders from people. Hey, I want to buy personal training. You go, great. How much personal training do you want? Here's the price. There you go. He goes, but when someone is interested and they're asking for the prices and you're supposed to sell them and overcome their objections and build value and show them the benefits, you don't know how to do that. And then you let them walk away. I was like, shoot, he's right. So then I realized it's value plus salesmanship that equals lots of money. And so once I connected those dots, I asked Jim if he would teach me how to sell. I learned how to sell. He later loaned me money to open up my own personal training studio. And I vowed that we were only going to have top-notch personal trainers. And I was going to be a gangster at selling personal training services. And so now, because you have to also remember, Broadway Bagel, sold the average bagel for like, whatever. It was like, bagel with cream cheese was like $3.50 at the time. The other bagel shop down the street, not too far away, like a block away, bagel with cream cheese for $1.50, for almost half off, right? Yet Broadway Bagel always had a line where I worked. The other place didn't. And I realized that they had a unique product. It tasted better. It was delicious. It was consistent. The other place wasn't. We would always hear from the customers. They were willing to pay more for more delicious, fresh, consistent bagel. And so I realized if I open up this personal training studio, I can take clients from that big box gym because I will have all the personal trainers who are fit, who are well-educated, know how to communicate, know how to connect with people's emotions, because people who are overweight, people who need to lose weight, there's some level of insecurity in them. And if they have some level of insecurity, I need personal trainers who also have the bedside manners of a good therapist. And so I knew that if my product could be better and I knew how to sell that product, I've got value plus salesmanship, I can make a crap ton of money. And that's exactly what I did. I solved the problem of one-on-one personal training, later on parlayed it into Fit Body Bootcamp, group personal training, right? One client or one trainer, one coach, many clients. Again, same value. We would deliver fat loss results. We would help them build muscle. They will get results or they get their money back. And so that is a tremendous amount of value for just $200 a month. And so today we have hundreds of Fit Body Bootcamp locations worldwide. We're America's #1 fat loss and fitness program out there in terms of gyms. And it's all of a byproduct of a unique product that delivers value and the ability to sell that product to the masses. And that's what I had figured out through the help of a mentor. And then I was able to scale it after that.
So, I mean, it really, the value that you provide and add to this world, society, that's anyone's going to pay for that, right? So do you think that if people maybe made more of a choice to enhance their skills to then create more value, they would get paid more?
Absolutely.
And they would stop complaining about not having money.
Yep. If you want to solve the problem of not having money, well, one, learn how to manage it.
Yes.
Because now that I'm a multi-millionaire, it's even weird saying that. But now that I'm a multi-millionaire, I have the good fortune to be around a lot of multi-millionaires. You and I talk about them often. And you follow them on social media, you see what kind of shit show problems some of them have. Yeah. They're rich, but all of a sudden they lost their significant other. They're rich, but all of a sudden they sold all their fancy cars and they're downsizing because some issue came out where they were maybe cheating clients or something, or just mismanaging their money. So learning to manage your money is very important because Grant Cardone once said this. He says, there's always someone with a bigger jet. So if you get into the game of, I'm going to buy a private jet and then I'm going to have the biggest jet, there's always someone with a bigger jet or 2 jets or 3 jets. I know a dude who's got 4 private jets for him and his company. Now, why would I want to go compete against him? I'm not interested in competing against him. I'm not in the jet business. I'm in the making money to have freedom and to be able to donate to the causes that I believe in business. Like I love donating to charities that I believe in. So all that to say, once you learn how to manage your money first, because you could always outspend what you're making. Always remember that. You can always outspend. No matter how many millions and billions you make, you could outspend what you're making. Then if you can enhance your skills, like you said, to be able to add more value to humanity, learn to sell those skills to people who need that solution to the problem, you will never have a money problem again.
Yeah. So, and I do think that people don't understand it. And this is why I want to share this, because you did come from nothing to where you're at today. And I know a lot of your story, but you're also quite introverted, which is not what people would think.
Right.
And just knowing that you went from that. Also, you have really good hair now. Just
Thank
so
you.
you know, yeah.
I appreciate
it.
It
Must have been the gasoline.
It's the gasoline.
So I think that, people need to understand the value that's behind the money and what it does and what it can create. Because you also donate a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm a big, in fact, I put up a post 2 days ago on Instagram. By the time people are probably watching or listening to this, it's probably more like a couple weeks ago. And it's a post that says, effectively, money is a vehicle to freedom. Everything we talk about here. Money is a vehicle to freedom. Money solves the problem of not having money. Add value, have urgency, and you will make more money. And then make a lot of money and do a lot of good with it. And that last line, make a lot of money and do a lot of good with it, that is my mission. One of the good things I've done is I've made my sister unemployed. She works for me full time, doing absolutely nothing. And I love it that way. For the last 15 years, I love my sister to death. She's 16 years older than me because I'm the oops baby. And so she was like a second mom to me. And she had all these jobs here in America that she didn't like. And her bosses were really mean to her. And I remember as a kid telling her, one day I'm going to make so much money, you'll never have to work again. About 15, 16 years ago, that day came. I hired her and I just give her raises every few months just because, for doing nothing, just for being my awesome sister. And a dear friend of mine, he's a Jim Saya. He's a cop. He's a retired now, but he was a cop in the 90s in Miami PD. His wife left him when she gave birth to their baby who had a spinal deformation. So now imagine a cop on a cop's salary with a newborn baby. The wife's gone. And a few years later, I met up with him and, his kid's in a wheelchair. And I'm like, dude, how can you afford this? He goes, I can't. Shriners Children's Hospital. Like, they're the ones who helped his spine in terms of the medical procedures that he needed. They keep building and giving new wheelchairs because obviously as a child grows, they need a bigger wheelchair. And if it wasn't for Shriners Children's Hospital, I don't know how I could have done this on a cop's salary. I'd never even heard of Shriners Children's Hospital. This was 13 years ago. So I decided from that point on, I'm going to start donating to Shriners Children's Hospital. At the time, 13 years ago, I was probably donating a few $100s a month, like maybe $200-300 a month. Today, we've donated over 7 figures, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. And same with Toys for Tots, which gets Christmas gifts for kids whose families can't afford any Christmas gifts for them through the Marine Corps Foundation. And same with Compassion International. I've got 97 kids adopted through Compassion International, and they provide clean water, shelter, and education for kids in third world countries who otherwise would be living in a very impoverished life. It's not lost on me that all 3 of those are child-based charities. Toys for Tots, Compassion International, and Shriners Children's Hospital. In some ways, it's also one of the best healing things that I do for myself because I had a very abusive childhood. I was both sexually and physically abused as a young boy. And so to be able to make a lot of money and give back to the charities that are fulfilling for me and deliver a lot of value to children who didn't ask to be impoverished, didn't ask to have spinal deformations or cleft palates or end up in an abusive family where their parents throw scalding hot water on them. Like, these are the kind of surgeries Shriners does. And I don't know if you know this about Shriners or not, but they will give every child a blanket. It's kind of the thing that Shriners does. Like, when you come into Shriners Children's Hospital, no matter how long you stay there, they give you a blanket. So when I talk about Shriners Children's Hospital so much now on podcasts and stuff, when I speak at events, live events, more often than not, there'll always be someone in the audience who was a Shriners baby or a Shriners child, and they'll bring the blanket with them and they'll give it to me. So now I've been collecting Shriners blankets because they just feel so, grateful towards me and people like me who have donated because they personally got a benefit from it when they were younger. So money can do so much good. Money's not evil. Money's not bad. Money is indifferent. Money will accelerate who you are. If you're an asshole, you're going to be a bigger asshole because you're going to find more hookers to snort cocaine off of. If you are a decent human being, then you're going to be able to serve a lot more of humanity and do a lot of good and give yourself a damn good lifestyle. Like, make no mistake about it. I love the lifestyle I have, and I love eating at Michelin star restaurants, and I love staying in castles when I go to Scotland and Ireland, instead of just a 5-star hotel. I love flying first class and upper class. I love the perks that I get because I've got money. People treat me differently, and I love that because I've also been on the other side of that, and I didn't love that. And anyone can get there because I got there, and there's nothing special about me. I've got ADD, OCD, barely made it out of high school, dropped out of junior college in 32 days. Like, I'm not some brainiac. I just figured out how to add value, compound it with urgency and the ability to sell, and then made money.
Yeah. And which is incredible that you've gotten to that point. And I think that probably a lot of people would look at you and want to be you or want to be like you, which I think is great because you're an inspiration that's out there. But I don't think that people have the patience for it. I think they want it yesterday.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the biggest issues, because they set out to do something and they don't follow it through because they want it so quickly, which is kind of what I want to get your take on, because you've built this over decades.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, it's been 6 months.
Right.
Like, what's your take on that? I mean, like, they have to go through something. It's like the whole overnight success. Did you experience an overnight success?
Yeah, I'm a 20-year overnight success. Yeah, I did. In 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's only like when you start popping off, right? The people are like, oh my God, I didn't know you from anywhere. Now, like, you're all over my Instagram and YouTube. Well, that's great. I launched a BK show, my YouTube show and podcast, about 2 years ago. And I'm very grateful that it popped off. The reason it popped off is I spent the previous 18 years in the trenches doing personal development, self-growth, overcoming the fucking molestations and the beatings, and healing, and emotionally, physically, mentally, making money, understanding leadership, communication, building a vision for an organization, selling businesses. I spent 18 years in the trenches doing it so that I could spend this last 2 years talking about it. And that's why people are like, oh my God, you're so brilliant. Where did you come from? Well, it's not like I wasn't on social media. It's just a small group of people knew me, enough to still make me millions. But what we're seeing today in this world of instant gratification is people want to buy the social media followers. They want to pay $14 a month to get the blue check mark, which nothing wrong with that. But now you're authenticated, but you have the blue check mark. So you click that little drop down thing that now makes them a public figure or an entrepreneur or a celebrity. And Instagram has figured out, social media has figured out how to make you feel so special that then you'll go there and pump out so much content for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the social media platforms, so that they can keep selling ad space on it. Remember, so I just need to do a little sidetrack here. There's only 2 industries in the world that call their customers users. And it's social media platforms call their customers users, and the drug industry, right? Like narcotics. And so they need people out there creating content, and the people out there who think, well, I've been doing this for 3 months, I should be successful now. It's like, dude, my short-term goals are measured in 5 years. My long-term goals are measured in decade, like 10 years in a decade. The only short-term goal I have is if I want to lose like 10 pounds and get leaner, I might set like a 4-week goal. Like, that's a short-term goal for me. Otherwise, if I decide to go into a new industry, an industry that I've never been in and no one knows me, I'm probably going to give it 2 to 3 years of just solid content creation and paying for education, mentorship, coaching from the people in that industry who are the top. One, because the more I pay, the more I'm going to make connections, right? It's a pay-to-play business in every industry. I'm either going to wait until I become successful and famous in an industry, and then people at the top are going to know me, or I can just pay the people at the top to coach me and mentor me and learn from them while I'm spending the next year, 2 years, 3 years putting out great content, etc. People don't have the patience for that, unfortunately. Everyone's very impulsive. They want to get results now. They don't have the ability to delay gratification, which is why the world is fat and broke and dependent on shit. And Dana White said something really cool recently on an interview. Dana White, he's the leader, CEO of UFC, one of the founders. And he said, The generations today are so weak, so soft, so fragile that if you have just a little bit of grit in you, if you have just a little bit of savage in you, if you have just a little bit of grind in you, you could own the fucking world. And I believe he's right. But nevertheless, you still need time and patience because that's what it takes to win in life.
Yeah. Well, and it does. And the people that are impatient, typically they don't have the highest skill.
Right.
So they're trying to shortcut as much as they can. And it is it's flooded, right? There's every business mentor out there. There's every trainer out there. There's everyone out there. How would you separate the good from not the good? I'm not going to say the bad.
Yeah.
The good from not the good.
Well, the way you're going to separate the good from the not good or the shitty is one simple thing: social proof. Like, do they deliver the results that they say they do? And Ronald Reagan said something. He said, "Trust but verify." And sure, you could trust that they have a big following, but I don't know if those followers are bots or if they're bot isn't paid for. They could have the blue check mark because they paid for it. They could have a million things that make them look like they're professionals. They could have a really catchy bio. They could put up content that makes them look like a professional. But at the end of the day, before I hire you, whether it's a fitness coach, nutrition coach, business coach, mindset coach, real estate investment coach, I'm going to ask for some testimonials. Hey, can you introduce me to 3 to 5 people that you have helped get the results that you're promising me? And if you can't introduce me to those people, then odds are you're a charlatan. In Fit Body Bootcamp here, we call those validators. Like, whenever someone fills out an application to own a Fit Body Bootcamp gym anywhere in the world, the very next thing we do is we go, hey, can we introduce you to some Fit Body Bootcamp owners who are similar to you in terms of, maybe the demographic that they're trying to serve, the community. They're similar to you. Can we introduce you to them? And you can have a phone call and conversation with them. Validate that Fit Body Bootcamp is what we say it is, because they become easier to sell once they believe that we are truly who we are. So we not only do it to make the sale easier for us, but we want the franchisee, the prospective franchisee, our prospective future customer, to feel comfortable knowing that what I'm buying is something that they mean what they say what they mean, they promise and deliver what they say. But so many people out there are just bullshit. And so it's our job to sift through the shit to find the gems. And the way you do that is looking for results.
Yeah, that's true. But some people also fake the social proof now.
They do.
That's the next thing, which is kind of tough. Or they maybe reuse results from years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So what would be the next step to that then?
Well, I would imagine the next step. That's why I believe in, hey, can I talk to people that you've given results to? I don't want to just see pictures and videos of people who say they've gotten results, because you're right. With AI now and Chat GPT, you can probably generate testimonials and before and after pictures. But also the next step is, did they do what they're selling? Do they know how to use the shovel, or are they just selling the shovel? Right?
That's a good one.
Like I said, I spent 18 years building multiple businesses: Fit Body Bootcamp, Truly Supplements, the Modern Day Night Project, an experiential event, Squire program, my mastermind and coaching programs. Now I'm partnered with Fuel Hunt, this apparel company, which thank you for wearing it, representing it, and rocking it. Awesome. I'm in the trenches making money, doing what I say I'm doing. I live congruently to everything I put out there. And so sometimes you just have to go, is the person who's promising the results actually gotten the results, him or herself? Mm-hmm. If the answer is no, you probably don't want to give them your money. If the answer is yes, then ask for social proof that you can talk to and validate, and then give them your money.
Yeah. That is an awesome kind of follow-up. I think that would be also when you talk about that you do everything that you say that you do and you've always put it out there. What I love about your content is that you don't go and shit on something to try and elevate you. And I'm seeing a lot of that now. I'm sure many people are. Yeah. They will go and, degrade something else to make them look better.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Because I think now it's almost like it's hard to differentiate yourself from people. How does someone make themselves look better? Well, if we make everything else look bad, I look good.
Right.
What's your take on that?
Well, there's 2 ways to building the tallest building in the city. One way is just to build the tallest city or tallest building in the city. The other way is to tear down all the buildings in the city and leave yours standing. I believe that the people who go around tearing down others and shitting on others, whether those others deserve it or not, I believe Karma is fair and just, and karma will ultimately tear those people down anyway. But if you go around tearing those people down, sooner or later, you're going to get torn down, number one. Whether it's true or not, someone's going to shit on you. Secondly, if you're so busy tearing other people down, there's got to be people watching you who are going like, man, he's not talking about what's best about him. He's just talking about what's worst about this person, right? And, you could look at our recent presidential debates that took place. Both Trump and Biden, although Trump was at least coherent and Biden wasn't, but both went back and forth shitting on each other, tearing each other down, neither one saying what is going to happen moving forward when they become president again in 2025 and beyond. So while it was entertaining and they shat on each other about their golf swings and their golf handicaps and hey, you're a felon and I'm not, and all these things, great. If it was a popularity contest in high school, I probably could pick one. Right. But right now, as a citizen of this country, I'm left to wonder, is there anyone decent that we could vote for? Mm-hmm. And in reality, goes back to the beginning of our conversation, which is why you're the CEO of your life. You get to decide how much money you make, how much value you add. If you can do money, meaning, and self-mastery, you can elevate to a better place in life. And it won't matter who the president is, because the president will have far less impact on your life when you make an obscene amount of money and you have absolute freedom and control of your economy, of your state of mind, of your family, and of your security, and all these things. But when people decide to outsource their freedoms and safety and health to big government, then you're left to pick between two clowns. Yeah,
that's true. And so when you talk about karma, because I'm a huge believer in karma, do you also believe in manifestation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I mean, have you always been a believer of that? Or did something kind of come to light for you?
I didn't know anything about manifestation until I saw the movie The Secret.
Oh, yeah.
15, 18 years ago, right? And then like everything else in life, when something captures my interest, I just dig in. And I started to study manifestation and what it's all about. And I kid you not, right around that time, I was looking for a bigger house to move into, a bigger property. I wanted acreage. And I found the road that I wanted to live on. It's a cul-de-sac. There's 14 homes on that road. And I wanted one of the two houses at the end of the cul-de-sac. And I remember driving down both driveways before I owned it, looking over the wall, and realized I liked the one on the right more. So about once a week, I would drive down the driveway and look over the wall. And if I didn't hear anything, I would actually open the gate and kind of look at the backyard. Wow, they got a pool, they got a hot tub, they got this shrubbery, and then a rose garden, and then palm trees, and the driveway was 60, 70 yards long, downhill. This is beautiful. They're secluded. They're protected. I kept doing that. And I kept wondering what it would take to own this house, right? And then one day, as I go to drive down that road or that driveway, there was a for sale sign. And this was 2007, October of 2007. So the housing market was about to crash. Mm-hmm. The house was listed for $1.6 million. It's oh, that's what it takes, $1.6 million. Well, within the next 6 months, housing prices began to fall. And so once I knew what the price was, I started to manifest new solutions to problems in the fitness industry. That's where I really kicked up my mastermind, my higher level coaching program for gym owners and personal trainers, and went from making $15,000 a month to $45,000 a month within 90 days. My Maxwell Maltz calls it this. He calls it the theater of the mind. The subconscious mind I started manifesting, I need to get this house. I need to buy this house for my family. I just knew that because I've been driving down that driveway for months. And then now there's a for sale sign for $1.6 million. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to find a way to get the down payment for the $1.6 million. But each time I would drive there over the next few weeks, the price kept going down. And I was all right, now it's $1.2 million. Great. What's 20% of that? What's the closing costs? And then as I'm doing that and working towards adding more value to the fitness industry, my income is going up. I believe I manifested all that, and I currently live in that house. It's a byproduct of me manifesting so clearly what I wanted. I saw it so clearly, in fact, and I drove down that driveway so many times that I knew it's a 6-car garage. I knew exactly where I would park my car. I knew what gate in the backyard there's 1, 2, 3, 4 gates. Fucking backyard is so big on the property that I live. There's 4 gates to enter the backyard. And if 4 people entered through the 4 different gates, you would not see each other until you all walked about 30, 40 yards, right? It's that like huge. And I walked through every gate before I ever owned the house. One of the times I heard people there, I was like, holy shit, I got to get out of here. Like they're going to call the cops. But I share this with you because I even knew where in the garage I would park my car, which gate I would walk into the property with. It had beautiful French doors. And I was like, those are the French doors I'm going to enter the house in. And today that's exactly what I do. Like the more clear you can visualize what you want. And then the thing that The Secret didn't teach about manifestation was the massive action part. You can't just think your way rich. You have to think and act your way rich. And so I put massive, like I willed the universe to bend to my needs by putting massive action forward in terms of adding value in exchange for money. Went from making $15,000 a month consistently to $45,000 a month, and was able to qualify to buy that house. And then when I bought the house, the price fell another $300,000 because the housing market kept crashing. But it didn't matter at that point because I knew that over time it'll be worth millions, and it is.
That's like insane. That's insane. But I will say that it's really cool to see that, you know, you had that and you did the visualization, you did the manifestation, because a lot of people don't understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
And they just think that, I don't know, they have to just, you know, dream it, right? Like there's just got to be this dream while they're sleeping, which kind of, I guess, like leads me. I know that you do a lot of fitness. I know that you train really hard. You do your jiu-jitsu and everything like that. And in terms of your own personal development, and you also are around so many people and so many different energies, aside from your jiu-jitsu and your fitness and maybe probably your nutrition, what do you do to get you in a good state of mind?
Probably some other things that I do is my evening and morning routines. My morning routine sets me up to win the day. I wake up at around 5:30. If my alarm goes off, it's going to go off at 5:30. But if I wake up before my alarm, then I just get up. Not like if it's 2 in the morning. If I wake up within 30 minutes of my alarm going off, I just get up. But if not, when my alarm goes off, I don't hit the snooze button. I believe if you hit the snooze button, you're telling the universe that you would rather have 10 or 15 minutes of interrupted sleep than getting out and attacking your goals in life. So I don't hit the snooze button. Drink 30 ounces of water, turn on Jack Johnson's music on Spotify because he's got an amazing voice, and I love Jack Johnson's music. It's like when Jack Johnson is serenading you, how can things go wrong? Jump in the shower, take a shower while listening to Jack Johnson, get out of the shower and send out 3 gratitude text messages to 3 people I'm grateful for. And it's just 3 random people in my life who have helped me, who have added value to my life, who had believed in me when no one else did, sometimes when I didn't believe in myself. And there's been plenty of those moments. By the way, your audience should know that during your journey of an entrepreneur or anything, of your fat loss goals or fitness goals or relational goals, like you will come to a place where in a crossroads where you're like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think I'm going to achieve the outcome. Like you will have doubts, you will have uncertainty, you will have a desire to quit. The key is to not. But so I have a morning routine that sets me up to win. And then I go downstairs and I get my coffee and my protein shake and I crack my laptop open and I start working, doing the things. So that's the massive action part. Yes, I do all the things like gratitude text messages, music that I love, you know, that sets my mood and energy up to win. But then I go out downstairs and I work on my laptop and I write the emails and I write the blog posts and I create content ideas to actually move my business forward. And then in the evenings, it's quite the opposite. Like, how can I calm my nerves? All right, well, I'm going to turn off the notifications on my phone, like my text notifications. All my social media notifications are always off, period. But I don't want to be texted at night because I don't want to have business problems that I need to process through at 1 or 2 in the morning while I'm trying to sleep. So I turn off my text notifications. I make sure that I eat at 7 p.m. or earlier. It's a smaller meal, higher protein, moderate carbs. And then by 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm in the hot tub. And by 10 o'clock, 10:15, I'm in bed. And I've been doing that routine for the last 10, 11 years now. And so just like I can in the morning, it winds me up to win the day. The evening routine kind of calms me down and puts me in a place where I could sleep my best. And I also started using the supplements that you got me
There you go.
on a consistent basis to help
You're
sleep.
definitely winning your sleep then.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of like male clients. Sometimes they just, the self-talk, the negative self-talk. I'm not a male, so I don't understand a male brain. And I truly believe it's different. And I feel like guys have the ability to really beat themselves up in a way that a female doesn't. She's like, I don't know, I feel like they're just very different. And I really hope my guys listen to this because they need to hear you maybe give some advice on this, because I think they just start to spiral down, and maybe they did a lot of like destruction or, self-sabotage, damaging their bodies, damaging their brains, all these kind of things. How is it that you can stay so disciplined? Because I have an athletic mindset, I have an athletic background, and I don't like bullshit.
Yeah.
But that's me. But from your perspective, what's your take on it?
Yeah. Unlike you, I was not an athlete. I was a fat kid all the way through high school. Summer before senior year, I started working out just so I could ask a girl out to the prom. Like my only motivation to work out and lose weight, because I was a bit of a chunky young man all the way from elementary school all the way to high school, was just to work out so I could ask Nakaya to the prom. And so no athletic bone in me whatsoever. However, I believe discipline, like any other trait, is a muscle. It's a habit. And think about this. Someone can go on vacation. Let's say they have a very strong habits in the morning and they're disciplined with their structure and routine. They go on vacation for a week or two to wherever, Hawaii. They decide to give themselves permission to sleep in. They give themselves permission to eat a little sloppy. You're on vacation, have some French toast in the morning. You get back from that vacation and it'll take a few weeks to get back into your routine. Just that week or 2 weeks on vacation where you loosened up your habits and your discipline, you started to atrophy that muscle. Discipline, focus, consistency. These are all muscles. And if you start looking at it as a muscle that you can develop and train, well, someone like me who was not an athlete starting out, I was a undisciplined, chunky little kid who liked to eat sugary, fatty foods, watching the A-Team and Knight Rider as my source of entertainment, and then Saturday morning cartoons until like it was Saturday afternoon. And then my dad would make me go in the backyard and work with him. But I always took the easy way out. When I realized that, hey, I want to make money, and the pain of being broke was so great that I wanted to make money, I was like, what do people who make money do? They have a high level of structure, of productivity in the areas of value creation, in the areas of salesmanship, in the areas of leadership and building a business. All right, so I started to develop those muscles, and it's a muscle that men have to develop. The problem is they'll choose the vices of entertainment. Could be video games, could be television, could be pornography. So entertainment, it could be, I'm just going to say it like we said at the project, pussy, pussy that doesn't belong to them. They'll find a way to try and get in it, talk to it, send pictures to it, pay a membership fee to it on OnlyFans.
There you go.
Right? It's not your pussy, bro. Leave it alone. Move on, right? But it's a discipline. It's a muscle you have to develop. Or they have daddy issues or mommy issues, or they picked a spouse who is so misaligned for them that they cause so much trouble for them that they're too busy dealing with this shitty relationship to be able to focus on their goals. And so then they lean into weed, vape, alcohol to mask the pain. This is what men are good at. They're good at avoiding and ignoring pain until they hit the bottom of the barrel, till they hit just like the bottom. I believe that place right before the bottom, men are the king. Women are better at going, uh-oh, I'm about to hit rock bottom. I better do something about it. We men are the kings of figuring out how to just levitate right before rock bottom. And just that's the worst place to be. It's like you're in pain. You're not quite dead, but you're constantly dying.
This makes so much sense.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like 19 classes of the project we've run for the last 5 years, right? 20th class is in October. And I'm a man. I've worked with a lot of men. I'm telling you, we are so good at just staying right above rock bottom where the pain is worst. But we won't even let ourselves die where the pain stops. We just sit there and deal with the pain through masking it with pornography, gambling, food, entertainment, sports, TV, video games, alcohol, weed, cocaine, whatever the thing is. Or you could just address it as a man. And men have a hardest time addressing the things they need to address. And so this is why they suffer in silence for a prolonged amount of time. And so the solution is to decide what it is that you want, like be very specific in what you want. Like Michelangelo said, when he made the statue of David, people asked him, man, the statue of David is just amazing. Like, what did you use? Like, what was your blueprint? He goes, I didn't have one. I literally chipped away everything that was not David. So once you know what it is that you want, you chip away everything that is not congruent to the man you want to be. So I say, like, get a piece of paper, design the ideal human. Ideal human, let's say for this guy is, I want to be lean, I want to be jacked, I want to be strong, I want to be able to defend myself and others. I want to make a lot of money and never be financially dependent on others. I want to have a great vocabulary. I want great people skills, okay? And I want to be able to lead a company of employees who are going to change the world in this industry. Great. What does that man do? Well, he probably wakes up early. Great. So he's probably not awake at night smoking weed and watching television till 2 a.m. and binge watching Netflix. Correct. So once you know what you want, you chip away everything that is not that man. And then over time, you keep doing that, and that muscle develops. And again, going back to delayed gratification, 5 years, 10 years later, you become that man where it's impossible now for me to break character. Like if you're like, hey, B, let's just go and goof off this one time and live a little. The idea of it sounds great. I couldn't even have fun drinking anymore. I want a beer every now and then, about once a week. I want a nice cold beer and a nice cold glass of 805. But I'm like, I know I'm going to regret it the moment my lips touch the beer. So I don't get it because I know I can't even let myself enjoy. And I'm not an alcoholic. I just stopped social drinking just because, right? I just knew it was bad for me. I'd wake up a little hungover after 2 cocktails at a random dinner party. So 49, your body processes alcohol differently. So I stopped 2 years ago. Like every now and again, I'm like, there's no problem with me drinking a beer. But I'm like, there is, because I won't even allow myself to enjoy it. Like that's how rigid my discipline has become. And people go, oh man, that sounds like a horrible life. Well, let's also remember what Jocko says all the time, which is discipline is freedom, and discipline is freedom. Like because of my discipline, I have so much freedom, life freedom, financial freedom. Like if you and I wanted to go do something after this, like I could completely cancel my schedule and do it because I've got the team and the ability to go do that, right? Someone who's got a 9-to-5 job, but drinks a little, can't just cancel everything. Like you got to go clock out. Otherwise your boss is going to fire your ass.
Yeah.
So there's a trade-off to that.
And with men, I so see a lot of men that do sit in that low state, but it also takes away like their personality. They're just boring. Like they have this, their tonality is the same. They're literally boring. And then they wonder why people don't really want to be around them.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard for them because then they're just like, I'm just here to make some money for my family and that's it. That's all they think is their purpose.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And there are a lot of men who feel that way. They're suffering in silence, white knuckling through life. Did you know that 82% of men do not have what they would consider a close friend to call if the poop was to hit the fan in their life? However you want to define that. Call it diagnosis of cancer, call it their spouse, wanting to divorce them. Whatever the poop looks like that's going to hit the fan, 82% of men don't have a single person, say they don't have a single person close enough to call as a dear friend to be able to like, bro, here's what's going on in my life. Like that's a sad state to be in because they feel like, well, my job is just supposed to be to provide. No, it's not, man. Your job is supposed to be to live. Your job is to experience. Your job is to be able to be a walking, talking example of good humanity. Your job is to be able to lead. They don't see that. And little by little, maybe it's a byproduct of bad parenting because of their parents who just didn't instill that confidence in them, didn't instill this character traits in them. But fuck, today we've got social media where you can watch David Goggins, you could watch Jocko, you could watch Jesse Itzler, you could watch my shit, you could watch Milet, you could watch Priscilla. You could watch and listen to a handful of podcasts and episodes as a man and be like, I've got the blueprint.
Yes.
Now let me go execute. So it's not a lack of access to the information. It's that they feel so defeated, and because they feel defeated, they begin to have a pity party for them. And I say this with all due respect. Women can have pity parties and act like a victim, and society will pay attention. When a man has a pity party and acts like a victim, society secretly goes, you're a little bitch. That's the reality. Like it or not, that's the reality. So they'd rather suffer in silence and struggle than actually go listen to the content that's going to make them better and execute on that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's hard for them to apply because, I mean, working with a coach is obviously a lot better because then you can at least speak to, if you have a good coach, speak to them about it. But it's about the application that I think is missing because they have they're watching your stuff, they're watching someone else's stuff, they're working with a coach, but it's the application.
Yeah.
So do you think it's then lack of belief to then execute on the tasks?
Yeah, it's an absolutely lack of belief. But I get it. It's hard to apply, you said, but it's also hard to live in the state that they're living in. It's also hard to be constantly fat and rejected by humanity. Other men who are in a better position in life don't respect you. Women just kind of scoff at you and walk by. Like, that's hard. Like, if not for any other reason, get yourself in shape, learn to comb your hair, brush your teeth, tuck your clothes in, like fucking develop a little bit of charisma and character and personality so that like a girl can smile at you, right? Like it fucking feels good when a woman smiles at a man. God damn it. Like, but instead they're pasty white. They have stretch marks around their bellies. They have titties that you can milk. They have, everything's hard.
Everyone eats Cheetos.
Everyone eats all these fucking Cheeto dust in their belly button, motherfucker. But everything's hard, Snej. Everything's hard. So and we've heard it a million times, is being successful and rich and in shape is hard. Being fat, broke, and depressed is hard. Choose your hard, number one. But it is a lack of self-belief because when you stop believing in yourself, you begin to adopt an attitude that I'm a loser. And you adopt that attitude long enough, it becomes literally who you are. Like you begin to buy into that story. And then you start finding evidence in the world going, see, she's looking at me in a weird way, like she's judging me. Oh, he's fit and he doesn't respect me. Oh, that guy has a skill. I don't even have a skill. He probably thinks I'm just a deadbeat. Like once we begin to buy into the bullshit belief system that we've developed, the story that we tell ourselves, we start looking for evidence in the world to reinforce that. And that's the most deadly thing because it's the longest form of suicide. It's like it is the slowest death ever. Like the death of a man who's depressed and feels useless to humanity is the longest form of suicide ever.
Yeah. I mean, and people probably look at you and they see that you have charisma, you have all these things, right? People would probably think that you just have it. I
developed it.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
I've got like educational deficiencies. Like I'm fucking partly retarded, for Christ's sake.
So, but when someone says you have it, right? Do you think that anyone can just create the it factor in themselves? They can just build it?
Yep. I believe anyone can develop the it factor, but it goes back to having a very clear vision. Remember, I was very clear on which of the two houses I wanted and then picked the house on the right and then went down that driveway once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Like, I remember thinking, like, at the time, I didn't realize that I could, when I make that kind of money to afford that house, I would also be able to afford a lawn guy that charges me $700 a month. Just to mow my lawn is $700 a month, like more than a car payment.
What kind of lawn do you have?
Huge. Like you can play football just on one of the backyards. Your kind of football and American football, as in soccer. But I share this with you because I was so clear on what house I wanted. I was so clear on exactly who I wanted to be, like the new version of me that I wanted to create. The fit, jacked, lean, charisma, athletic, leader, good communicator version. So when they have a blurry kind of vague vision of who they are, they're never going to get there. Like if I'm like, hey, I'm going to take you to this awesome restaurant in San Diego. You're like, yeah, really? I go, yeah, really. They got the best sushi ever. You're like, we're in San Diego. I go, I don't know the address, but we're going to just jump on that 5 and start heading south. dude, we might end up in Mexico and completely bypass San Diego, or we end up in San Diego, but we don't know where. So you need a very specific outcome to be able to then target on it and then chip away everything that is not that in your life until you achieve that. And until men do that, they are going to suffer.
I love that. That's awesome. I kind of want to like wrap this up, and I feel like we've covered so much, and I really wanted to focus more on the money side of things, but also the type of person that you need to become to even build that.
Yeah.
And I hope that I've kind of created, as well as like your journey, you know, from your humble beginnings to this point, because it's just so important that people understand that I'm very much alike. You know, there's so many aspects of my story of rock bottom. Unfortunately, I wasn't really like that girl that was like patted down. You know, it was more a different situation for me. But I came up, and I'm so grateful that I met you. Obviously, I met you almost 2 years ago now, and you've changed my life. So you don't just change men, but you also change everybody. And I'm very grateful for that. So the people that follow me and maybe don't follow you, they need to follow you. And one of the things that I have always learnt from you is that you should always come with a giving hand.
Yeah.
I think that was the first message that I truly kind of took in. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how many people want to take. I was even talking to Leighton earlier about this, and it really kind of like sparked up that conversation, because I think many people probably come to you, come to me, come to whoever, and they just want to take. And if you come with a giving hand, you know, you plant as many seeds as you can, you'll get something in return. Have you always been like that?
Yeah, that was something that I always had factory installed in me. And by the way, everyone has a factory installed gift in them. Like, I don't think God or our creator or the universe makes us with that, at least a gift in us. And then I think he or the universe also leaves a lot of voids for us to go out and fill ourselves. Like, that is the meaning of life, like to develop yourself into the ultimate man or woman that you want to be. But we all come with at least one or two factory installed gifts. For me, I always just somehow instinctively knew that I needed to come with a giving hand. I may have also noticed that in my dad. My dad was always one of those people that did without expectation. Even when we came to America, after a few years of working in multiple side jobs, he was able to, you know, scrounge together a little bit of money and open up a tiny little tailor shop in Anaheim, California. And I remember a customer coming in and like literally with the pants on where the button broke, right? And they're late for work because it's early in the morning. And my dad would say, all right, go in the dressing room, hand me the pants. He would sew the button. He'd give him the pants. The guy would put it on and he would leave. My mom, because my mom and dad worked in the tailor shop together, my mom would yell at my dad after this customer leaves because why did you not charge him something, even 50 cents? My dad's like, it's okay. It's okay. He was in a hurry. He needed that. The button just snapped when he put it on. Customers like that ended up coming back and bringing others. And he just instinctively knew how to be a giver. Instead of a value extractor, he was a value adder to humanity. And I've seen him do that with zippers, with hems at the bottom of the pants, with buttons, with just friends that he would give things to. He'd loan out his car. And I think that's always been a natural trait in me as well, and it was reinforced by my dad. And I realized the more value you can give, it's very much like what you said. It's like planting seeds. It's like planting seeds. And over time, those seeds are going to grow and develop into relationships and opportunities and business partnerships, and you could reap them. You can reap what you sow, but you've got to first do the sowing. And a lot of people out there are like, you know what? I need X and I need it now. And so they go and start trying to extract without filling up the Goodwill bank account. So I always say, fill up the Goodwill bank account first by being a value adder. And then the financial bank account will fill up as a byproduct of that. Yeah,
that's awesome. So if you don't already go and just provide value in this world and just give as much as you can, you definitely should. If you go back about a year, I think I did post up our previous episode, and I know that you've come such a long way. I can just constantly see your personal development. It just constantly it showcases itself. every single time. I think every day I feel like you grow more in one day than most people do in a year.
Wow,
and
thank you.
That's just it's just it's a representation of the amount of work you put into you. Just given how busy you are, you still make the time, you still create the time, and you still provide the time. So I appreciate that you've given me and everyone that's going to listen today just your time and your attention and your energy. Obviously, that's really important. So thank you. And I don't know if there's anything that you want to kind of leave anything with the audience.
Well, I think the one thing I could leave the audience with is the one thing that I suffered with the most in the beginning, because the theme of this episode is mainly making money, creating financial freedom for yourself. And I can tell you that I was the king of overthinking. I was the king of overthinking what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, the brand, the design, the look, the website, the logo. Turns out the more you overthink, the more you begin to repel money. On that same post that I told you about, that I put up a couple weeks ago, where I talked about money is attracted to speed and money is attracted to value adding, I also said that money is repelled by indecision and procrastination. And overthinking is the highest form of indecision and procrastination. And I was the king of overthinking. And so anyone out there who's got an idea for a product or a service, launch, do it, have at it, go for it. Don't worry about failure. There's no such thing as failure. There's only temporary defeat, as Outwitting the Devil. Mm-hmm. Who's the author of Outwitting the Devil? Napoleon Hill says in that book, Outwitting the Devil, he says there's no such thing as permanent failure. There's only temporary defeat. Permanent failure is if you fail and you die and you never get back up. That's permanent failure. But short of that, everything is you either win or you learn. It's not a loss. And so if you can stop overthinking, you'll have given yourself the greatest gift of all, because then you can lean into action and decision making faster than those who are procrastinating and being indecisive.
That's awesome. Well, and I like to always tell people that, everything that they want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
If they make a move, they take action, they're like one decision away. They're one decision away from a completely different life. And a lot of that comes down to that choice and not being indecisive. So
very true.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, B. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.